Often I'm asked what similarities there are between Mirror and Fishnet, and also how difficult it would be to go from Mirror to Fishnet. The short answer is pretty easy actually. Is it a one-to-one conversion? No, but virtually everything you know in Mirror will translate over to Fishnet. Ultimately, Fishnet will have all the same features as Mirror, but with more options, flexibility, and reliability. In this video, I'm going to take Mirror's tank example and convert it to Fishnet just to show you how easy it is. I also want to note that I have not actually looked at the tank example yet, so I'm performing this for the first time. Alright, let's do this uncut. I already did convert the basic Mirror example. I'm going to go ahead and import another Mirror example, the tanks one as I mentioned. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to uncheck everything and I'm just going to pull the tanks example. And once I import it, I do expect errors. I do have 11 errors. That's not really a big deal. Those will iron right out. So let me go and open up Visual Studio. And keep in mind, this is completely uncut, so the video might be a little bit longer, but I'm just going to show you how easy it actually is. All right, so first, I'm going to remove the Mirror namespace. I don't actually have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want stuff to align with my project. So I'm just going to do fishnet.examples.tanks. And then under network behavior, I'm going to add the using fishnet objects. Objects are network object, network behavior, basically components that you would use for setting up the network. Okay, there is no isLocalPlayer because that's just plain silly. There really is no difference between local player and has authority in Mirror. There is, but it's very small. So I'm actually going to replace this with the fishnet equivalent, which is base.isOwner. Owner is equivalent to has authority and Mirror. Okay, so if not base is owner, then return. Same thing we just did there. Next, we have commands and client RPCs. These are renamed in Fishnet. It is server RPC. And it is observers RPC, and there is a target RPC as well. We have an error here, network server.spawn. Network server does not exist, of course. There's no singletons per se in Fishnet. So instead what you'll use is instance finder dot server manager dot spawn and then passing in the projectile. All right, so that's it for that one script. Let's see what's left. All right, we're already down to 6 errors, down from 11, so that's pretty good. Again, with the network behavior, really easy. Just have to add using fishnet.objects. We just saw the network server thing, so I'm just going to do instance finder.server manager. Actually, this is a destroy on the game object, and this is actually a little different in Fishnet. This is called on the network object itself or the network behavior. So we're going to do base.despawn, and that's how you despawn an object in Fishnet. You don't actually call the network server. So same thing, base.despawn. You can see it's actually a little bit easier here. Another small difference is server callback in Mirror is basically don't run the code if on the server, and also don't throw an error. I don't know why they call it server callback. That's kind of confusing. In Fishnet, the equivalent to this is just server. So let's go ahead and just drop that on there. Now, the just server in Mirror is the one that actually throws a warning. So what we're going to do here for Fishnet is we're going to do warn equals true. And that means that this method will warn if it's not called on the server, and this one will not, and neither will run if not called on the server. Now let's go back to the project and see how many errors are left. Oh, no errors. Okay. Now I know the network manager is probably going to be wrong. Let me go and open up the tank scene. All right, so all these scripts are missing. Fortunately, Fishnet has a prefab that is made for this. So let's go into prefabs. I'm gonna drop in the network manager prefab, get rid of theirs, of course. And I'm gonna drop in the HUD as well. This is going to look better later on, but this is just to get started for now when I'm in alpha testing. One thing to note is that the network manager is a lot smaller. There's no option for setting all of your spawnable prefabs. That's done automatically, so you don't have to worry about that at all. There's also no player prefab. The player can connect without needing to require a dedicated player object. That was just kind of a silly thing in my opinion. I never really liked that. So right here, I have a component that comes with Fishnet, and this you can add optional. This will spawn the player for you when it connects if you like. So let me go ahead and add the tanks to the player prefab, because that is what the prefab was in the example. So I'm going to go over here, and you can see it's not taking it. So that means I have to make a modification to this. This tank model here is missing two scripts. It looks like it's missing the network transform, and it's missing the network object. This used to be a network identity. So let me remove that. That's another thing, is network identity was replaced with network object. I never really liked the network identity. And some reason I typoed it a lot, so it drove me nuts. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace network identity with network object, and then put on my own network transform, save. That's good to go. All right, let's go look at the projectile real quick. All right, so this is just missing the network object component. So let's just add that on real quick. All right, so that seems to be good for the prefabs. Now let's go back to the network manager, and I'm going to drop the tank under the player. And you can see that there's a list here where I can add spawn points if I like. These are the mirror spawn points, as you can see, and they have a missing script. I'm assuming that's the network spawn. I haven't fully decided how I'm going to do the spawn system yet. I know there's some issues with the mirror spawn system that I'm not really happy with. So for now, we have the temporary one, which is what you just saw, but I'm going to eventually change that. So I'm going to go back to my network manager, and I'm going to lock it. And I'm just going to drop all the spawn points into spawns. And this is something that's going to be a lot easier upon release. You're not going to have to do that later on. And I believe that is everything. Just a disclaimer, I did have to cut the video because I realized that I was not running VSync in the build, and it was just eating my computer alive, and it was messing up the recording. So I did stop it to enable VSync, and now I'm just going to do another build real quick. All right, so I'm going to hit play in the editor, and there is that warning I need to get rid of, so don't worry about that for now. I'm going to start the editor as server and client, and I'm just going to start the build as client. So I'm moving around. That appears to be working just fine, and I'm going to fire shots, and that is also working fine. I'm also noticing that the light is lighting up on the opponent as I'm firing as well. I don't think that's anything I did. So let's go check the mirror example real quick. I did cut the video one more time so you don't have to sit through load and build times, and it looks like, yeah, that is actually a bug in their source code. So that's not something I did. You can see that theirs is behaving the same way. So yeah, with very little effort, actually, I was able to convert a mirror example over to Fishnet. I hope this eases a lot of concerns many of you had. And if you had any questions, you can always hop into my Discord. There will be a link in the description of this video.